This is my video review of the Pictor Cine Zoom lenses from DZO FILM. In this review I'll be focusing on the 50 to 125mm, but these lenses come in a pair, so there's also a 20 to 55mm, both at t2.8. We're going to talk about the build quality, the bokeh, chromatic aberrations, and my overall thoughts about the lens in general. I marked everything with timestamps down below if you want to skip to a specific part. Let's start by checking out some sample footage that I've shot the last week. Okay, so let's start with the obvious, and that is that yes, I am Swedish, so my pronunciations may not be perfect, so I hope you can deal with that. But let's get on to the review. I got this lens about a week ago. I was watching Cinema 5D and they had this interview with Phil Holland, and he talked about how much he liked these lenses. So they caught my attention, and I looked them up, and turned out there were like no reviews of them, no samples or tests or anything. And normally I always research stuff very intensively before I buy things, but I couldn't find anything. So, I decided to try them out, and I bought this 50 to 125, thinking that, if I don't like it, I can always return it. So both the 20 to 55 and the 50 to 125 comes in a pair. So they both come in black with yellow accent color, or a white with red accent color, which looks kind of cool. So the build quality, the lens is made out of metal, very solid build. The lens covers Super 35, could potentially actually also cover full frame if you punch in 110%. I haven't actually tried it yet so far though. So this is my first zoom lens in a while. This lens has decent sharpness. DZO FILM describes them as a gentle sharpness, which, basically means that they're sharp, but they're not like unnaturally sharp. They have like this soft glooming effect. At 50mm 2.8, the lens has decent sharpness. If you stop it down to 4 or 5.6, it becomes sharper. And at 11, it's very sharp. If you zoom in to 85mm at t2.8, it's sharper. And at 4 or 5.6, it's extremely sharp. You can see the pin cushion goes away at 85. At 11, it's very, very sharp. And then if you zoom in to 125mm at t2.8, when I shot the test, I accidentally bumped the focus. So it's not in 100% focus, you have to excuse me for that. I changed the focus back at 4 and 5.6. The lens has a 16-bladed aperture. The bokeh looks really good. At t2.8, the bokeh is very soft and very gentle. They have this coating on the lens that prevents ghosting and flaring. And I must say that it works really well. Even when the sun was pointed directly into the lens, there was lots of contrast and a very nice pop to it. And the lens flare itself, it's very organic looking. I haven't actually seen a flare that round before, I think. If you look for chromatic aberrations, even at t2.8, the lens has extremely minimal chromatic aberrations. I mean, if you punch in, you could probably see it, but it's so minimal that it's basically not there. The lens has floating elements, but basically what it does is that it prevents focus breathing when you change the focus. And I must say that it works very well. I've looked at the Sigma 50 to 100 before, and that lens has some of the worst focus breathing that I've ever seen. So to see that this lens had basically none was pleasantly surprising. In terms of color, it has more of a cooler look. almost like the size lenses. It's very hard to describe, but I feel like, but it has like a dreamy, filmic look, which you don't get with the Cine lenses, which I love, but they're almost too perfect. So I feel like this lens is for those who, they want a sharp, nice looking image, but they don't want like a factory, unnatural looking image. So for DPs who are looking for something with a bit more characteristics and a bit more flair. So the lens comes in both EF and PL mounts. I have a Zcam E2 S6 camera, which has a EF mount. So I had to replace the PL mount with the EF mount. They include the PL mount in the box, so you just have to unscrew these screws and change the mount. It's a very simple process. It took me about, minute or two to actually change the mount, but because EF has a different flange distance, you have to add these shims or small metal rings. Comes in different sizes. The manufacturer recommended adding 0.1 to 0.2.5, which were very incorrect for my camera system at least. So I had to experiment my way to get perfect parfocal. Some people love to use autofocus, and this lens of course doesn't have it. But this lens isn't actually, designed for autofocus. You have a focus puller most of the time if you use this lens, or you can pull focus yourself. And the parfocal design, of course, helps with that. Because it was so, cheap, I didn't expect it to perform, anywhere near my expectations. If you use a Super 35 sensor, like the Blackmagic 6K, the E2 cameras, Fuji, or Sony with Super 35 sensor, I can highly recommend this one. This is my first ever review, so please let me know what you think of the review in general. Did I miss anything? Would you like to see something more of something specific? Please let me know. And yeah, check this lens out, and I'll see you next time.